So here is a complete Jobs to be Done Switch interview. This is with Pranav, and he selected INSEAD Entrepreneurship training specifically focused on a family business. Why don't you take out a timeline of progress and start scribbling around the various different pushes, pulls, anxieties and habits that you hear as we go through this, and then at the end I'll show you the ones that I got.
So give you a bit of backstory. I'm helping a lady here who runs the Asia Startup Network with a bit of research. And what we're interested in is the language that people use to describe both researching, shopping for, and joining courses that are related to startup and entrepreneurship life. So the good news about this is that this is your story in your own words. And that means that there's no right or wrong answers. You can't get it wrong. If you don't remember anything, just say pass. It's not a problem. The bad news is where it's about language, I will interrupt and I don't want to be rude. It's just if you use a word or a phrase, I want to make sure that I'm following along and I know exactly what you mean rather than maybe how I've used the term myself.
Sure.
So apologies up front for that. And it might be a bit weird sometimes. I kind of liken this to maybe like a Netflix documentary series of different people. This is your episode. So I might ask you, imagine I'm carrying the camera, I'm shooting the scene. Who are you with? What are you wearing? What's going on? Just sometimes I find it helps to kind of prompt the story and sort of get a bit more memory from you. So I guess with that in mind, perhaps can you help set the scene, for this series? Like who are you? What's going on in your life when you sign up for this? What's the sort of bigger picture and the context in which the story takes place, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, a bit of backstory. I have been in Singapore for almost 8 years. I came here for my master's, and then I've been working here for about 6 years now. And I did my master's in machine learning and artificial intelligence at NUS.
Okay.
And then I pursued bunch of different titles, like job titles, but mostly essentially like revolving around machine learning engineer or data scientist, things like that.
Okay.
Worked for a bunch of different firms, from like marketing firms called Dentsu, moving on to a semiconductor firm, which is a bit niche, again as a data scientist at Micron, and then moved to HPE as, again, a machine learning engineer. Okay. So yeah, 3 roles in 6 years. I don't know how it looks on my resume, but that's how I've
whatever, it's the way of the world these days. Okay, that's cool. And so, if I'm hearing you right, you came here 8 years ago to pursue a master's in machine learning and AI. After that, then are you bonded then to work in Singapore, or were you?
Yeah, for 3 years, but then I chose to work after those 3 years by myself.
Got it. So you've gone and done your 3 years upon, then you've moved around from Dentsu, Micron, HPE, and it's always been using what you've learned in that master's in data science and machine learning, things like that. Is that right?
Some sort of that, yes. I mean, the course was a bit more theoretical. I think it's not essentially everything's converted into the work itself. There were a lot of things which were outside the scope, which I didn't really learn. For an example, like Dentsu was very focused on, the team I was working for, they were very focused on making sure that the clients who have been spending X amount of money on their performance marketing, they get their returns back, at least by seeing what kind of dashboards are we building for them. So that was more like a role where I had to show, yes, we can make fancy dashboards. Now that's something which I didn't really learn. That's something which I learned on the fly, off the job.
Yeah, okay, cool. So obviously you've got the technical skills, but then when you go into a business role, you've got to learn how to apply that.
Yeah,
that's cool. You mentioned, is it INSEAD? In your own words, what is it that you bought? What course did you join?
So they have this course called INSEAD Entrepreneurship and Family Business Program. So they have like 2 major courses. One is called New Business Ventures. One is called Corporate Venturing and Innovation. So both of the like in-person courses. The ones which I did was the entrepreneurship and new business ventures, where they teach you like a set of skills which you need for entrepreneurship, and like how do you build a right mindset before you even start your journey, because like people do it because it's a fad, or people have been doing it because they think it's fancy, but they essentially teach you it's not, and they give you that idea that if you're starting your own business, be wary of such things. And I'll explain you those like such things in a moment, but essentially they tell you what to do and what not to do.
Okay. Very of. And then what to do and what to do. And so INSEAD Entrepreneurship and Family Business Program, that's all about new businesses. It's all about teaching you skills for entrepreneurship. It sounds like the mindset of things to be, and you know, the sort of pitfalls, I suppose. So it's not all a bed of roses. What to do and what not to do. Is that how you describe it now, having gone through the course, or is that how you were thinking about it before you decided to join it?
I think more like before I even enrolled in the program, this is more like my perception while I was reading their brochure, like how things have been set up. Mostly it was, so I'll give you an idea, like the project structure, which they had set up for me was, there are majorly like 5 things which you're going to teach. And if I had to select, top 3 of them, they were like, okay, we'll help you understand how do you combine all these theoretical frameworks you listen at MBA with some sort of like practical implementation. We'll give you like real world use cases of how these things have changed. Or like, they'll typically have a lot of network opportunities where they'll bring up a lot of successful entrepreneurs. I even got the chance to meet Richard Branson. So they got a lot of CEOs also, and also a lot of business families, like people from the UOB family. They were brought up, they had sessions with us. Just they wanted to show even like how difficult it might be if you think, you're born in a business family and you've got everything set up for you, but still running that is a huge challenge. So that was the whole idea. Then they give us program structure. Some of those things still hold, I think, which is I got a lot of network opportunity, sure, but I don't really think everything converted, which is I don't really have a great understanding of how those frameworks are still applicable for me. I don't really see a place where I can actually see them being implemented in real life.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, let me just.
Sure.
So if I'm hearing you right, so the sort of way you describe it, what to do, what not to do, all that stuff, that was pre-joining the course, and then the post-consumption of the course, you got a lot out of the networking by the sounds of things and learning the stories of success and failure.
Yeah.
But the frameworks and the actual theoretical pieces, they're still very theoretical. You haven't really learned how to apply them and put them into practice. Is that
yeah?
Fair?
I mean, a lot of case studies, a lot of talking, but not really converting into, when it comes to actually doing that business, how they actually convert into those things. So yeah, you're right. More theoretical, less figuring it out.
And just making sure I understand this, these case studies come in and they're interesting to you, but are you saying that the teaching did not allow you to connect the dots so that you can use these frameworks in your own business? Or are you saying that the frameworks didn't really make sense because the person saying it didn't connect to how they were running their business, or have I completely missed the boat on this one?
Okay, great question. So let's take an example. I think so they were teaching a case study about TransferWise, which I think they now call it Wise. I don't know, they keep changing their names.
Yeah.
So they explain it with the problem that you've got a high international transfer fees, which traditional banks have been always charging. Now the solution, to keep it simple, they presented this peer-to-peer money transfer platform, which is TransferWise. So they give you the idea, what are you going to get from this case study? Say you'll understand how do you identify a clear market pain point, or how do you build trust in such a regulated industry, and how do you get into those space, where banks have been the authoritative nature for the longest of time. What happens is, I think what they can't really connect dots is, they would explain you this case study, they would simultaneously move on to, say, a family business transformation like Hermes. They'll give you key learning points from that as well. What I don't really understand is, how do I connect the family business, what we just discussed, with TransferWise? Like, in my mind, they don't have any connections, but they would give you a lot of case studies, which independently work great. But when I have to think as a connection to each one of them, I don't really, like, that doesn't make me a whole picture of what did I actually learn.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, it's like, okay, so we've got this TransferWise business. They've told me what the problem is. It's costly to make international transfers. Banks are milking people. They've given you the solution of, we're going to provide a low cost way of transferring money. And then the task is for you to come up with how to enter the market, or is the task
correct? Yeah, how to enter the market. Yes.
And then I guess the framework there is not enough for you to work out how to do that. Is that right?
A mix of both, which is, let's say, if you were starting a family business, if you come from a family business, say they were giving an example of Hermes, or if you don't, in any of these cases, if you had to start a business in a regulated industry, then how would you do that? So what's not really clear is, should I take like one single perspective of this? Let's say I come from a family business, but I don't have the enough knowledge of that specific field. Now both of them don't translate together. Say my family business was in jewelry. Like, how does it make sense for me to have that influence in the banking industry? They don't, like, there's no connection at all. But that doesn't negate the fact that I do come from something which has potential in like financially or monetary, but in a different industry. So connecting those dots is hard.
So maybe I'm missing something. So you mentioned this was in entrepreneurship and family business.
Correct.
Would I be right in saying then that you have a family business?
That's correct. Yes.
Perfect. Right. Can you tell me a little bit about that family business? Like, what is it? How long's it been going on? What's your role in it? That sort of thing.
Sure. I don't really have an ownership or role in it. So we have a business which is like warehouse management on airports. So like how when we go to airports, we generally have like big cargos which manage how the stuff's transferred. This is like more cargo management. So my dad and his granddad, they have been running this business for over like 60 years. It's mostly back in India, which is like majorly the bigger airports in India, which is Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata. They have been running warehouse managements for cargos there.
Okay. And so when you've joined this course, is this important to the story that we've got a family business and maybe I'm going to be running it one day and I need to learn the skills? Or is this just incidental that when you're going to the course and they're teaching you, you're trying to connect it to a business that you already understand?
Great question. I think the selection criteria for this course, it's not like everyone can take this course in INSEAD. It's like a fairly bit selective on which people they select. I did have an upper hand because my wife was doing her like master's at INSEAD. So obviously, like you people from like inside who are the ones who are on the selection committee for the courses, etc. I do had an upper hand there, but yes, I mean, having a family business does give you an advantage, which is you can be a part of that course. But having said that, it was mostly like for me personally, it was the latter, which is how I can connect my family business after learning from this course.
Okay, just making sure I understand that. So having a family business is good because INSEAD's got some strict criteria and therefore you tick a box.
Yeah.
And taking this course, so I guess maybe come back to this one. So when was it you committed to? When did you make the decision to join the course?
This is back 2023, March. Yeah, last year.
Okay. So March 2023. Is that when you paid for it, or is that when you first started looking for it?
I think this is when I started the course. I paid a bit earlier. I think I paid in February.
Okay, hang on.
A month ago.
Cool. So Feb 23, you've paid for it. March. And what did the course entail? What was it? How long were you on the course for? Or, is this something you do at nights? Are you doing it like full time? What are we?
Yeah, so mix of both. I mean, I was not doing it full time. I had a job which was going on from 9 to 6. So they give you this option, which is, do you want to do it full time or part time? I took the part time route, which is you do like classes on Saturdays and Sundays. These are like about 4-hour classes, 2 hours each, like, and then a break. And the program is mostly designed for. So they'll have a bunch of different modules ranging from like business model innovation to like how do you build growth strategies and what are different scaling operations. What does family business governance looks like and how do you make a succession planning? I mean, I don't know how that helps. That helped me at least. Maybe my father would have taken it, would have been better. And like, how do you do venture financing and resource allocation? what do you do in risk management if your business is starting to fail? How do you take strategic key decisions? They teach a bit about innovation and digital transformation, which I think is very common. I don't think that helped me a lot. But yeah, these were the major courses which they had. Supposed to be for, I think, 2 months running, but I took it for about 4 months. There was flexible in timings, so you could have gone a bit more than what was expected.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. So you started in March, you'd have finished what, July time, I guess?
July, August, like early August, yeah.
Okay. And at the end of it, what do you get?
A certificate. I don't know. I mean, certificate was not really the whole point of it. What do you really get? Are you asking this question more like in terms of like physically what I got, or like mentally what I learned?
Oh, well, I don't. Well, whatever it means to you.
Okay. So for me, I think the learning which I got was talking to a bunch of like family businesses, or talking to a bunch of people who have come from money or who have not come from money, but they have got some sort of like backing of like financials with them. I think it really takes just like 3 generations to turn the family around. I noticed that the grandfather, father, and the child, they had to rigorously work to make sure that the future generations don't have to. But I saw this as a cycle. Like, when I say cycles, I mean 2 of the generations worked really hard. The next few generations didn't, and then the business starts to decline. There were a few examples which I saw here in Singapore. I'm not going to name those those startups or those ventures, but I saw this like a pattern in how does the global perspective sits, and how does these diverse participations from different startups really changed how I look at entrepreneurship from a family business standpoint.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Sorry, my hand does not catch up with my. I'm better at listening than writing. And so basically, it sounds like what the big value is then this networking, meeting these people, understanding their story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is the value the connections that you've made, or is it here's what we did wrong, and so now you can, like, are you expecting to join this family business and run it one day?
Yes. Not anytime soon, but yes, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years down the line, yes.
Okay. And is that any part in your joining this course, or is this just,
maybe this is a subconscious call which is saying yes, but at that time when I was choosing the course, this was not the intention, which is that I have to pick up my family business, sometime down the line. I've been pretty rebellious about it, which is I don't want to do my family business because I think, it takes a lot of rigor, and I've seen my dad not taking a break for straight a decade. And I don't want to be stuck in that boat, which is, there's no time for family. That's why I sort of resisted it. But I see myself taking over because I see things which I can improve, not just from how it's operated, more from a technology integration standpoint. I see a lot of things are still manual on how he takes care of registries, on management of certain warehouses. And since he's not able to scale, he's just keeping it 4 major locations. I want to understand how can we scale this outside what he has been doing so far. So I've got ideas which I don't know how to implement yet. That was majorly the intention of joining the course.
Okay, so ideas that you don't know how to implement yet.
Yeah.
And you were hoping that they would teach you how to implement those ideas?
Sort of, yes.
Okay.
Or at least, maybe teach me how, what can fail and what should I not do, majorly from that standpoint.
Okay. What should, oops, sorry, not do. Cool, that's great. So now if I just scroll back up here, so we joined this in March 23. You've made the decision to pay in February 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take me back to the first thought you ever had of even I'm going to get some training on this or whatever. Like when did you first realise that maybe getting trained on this was even something worth looking at and pursuing?
Okay. Okay. So not a natural call, which is it was not something where I personally started looking at it. This was more like a gradual turn. So my wife got into INSEAD back in 2022 Jan. So this course for her was going to be for 2 years. So she's going to study until Jan 2024.
Okay.
Now during this period, I used to go to the campus, just visit her. We'd have lunch together. And this is a very normal process where I have no idea of what INSEAD has to offer apart from MBA. Like that's all what I know of. I've heard that INSEAD is a great college, and it's like that hidden gem in Singapore which people try to enter but they sometimes miss. You really need great GMAT scores, and I knew that my wife had put in a lot of efforts. That's all I cared about, and I didn't have any intentions. But sooner or later, when I started going to lunches with her, I saw a group of friends which usually joined her, and they were like really smart. Everyone came from business families. Everyone had a lot of knowledge on how scaling works for businesses, what they had done wrong, and how can they build trust with a lot of new market segments. And generally, the lunches were around that conversations.
Okay.
One of those friends actually was the professor running the entrepreneurship course, the family business course. You have bunch of modules. So he was the professor on one of the modules on global expansion strategies. That's where I decided, I want to actually learn from this guy. And that made me choose, or at least start this idea of, let's Google and see what this course has to offer. And how valuable is it? How much does it cost? Can I even manage it with my job? Things like that.
Okay. Quite a lot here. Sorry, unpack.
Yeah, no worries.
And then.
Is that what you're looking for, right? From
no, this is great. Sorry, I'm scribbling a lot because it's because it's interesting. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. So basically, if I'm going back in time, then what was it? Your wife's full-time study at INSEAD?
Yes.
She's gone there from 2022 to 2024. What's she studying then? Is this an MBA?
MBA in financial management.
Okay. And so lunchtimes you're able to get to the campus. Where is the campus?
It's it's hidden in somewhere between Buona Vista and Clementi.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't even really know how to say the area's name. It's
Fair
just
enough. This is close to where you live or close to where you're working. You can get out for lunch.
So none of those. I've recently shifted out because her course completed. She went to London for a job.
Okay.
So yeah, I've moved out from there. I used to live in Buona Vista. Now I live in Woodlands. That's where.
But at the time, you were living close enough by that you could get over for lunch together.
Yeah. This was like a 5 or 10 minutes bike ride.
Okay. And so you said you joined in 2023. So she'd been there from January 2022 through to March 2023 when you've joined in.
Yes.
I guess when in that time period you're going along to lunches, you're meeting these people, you're saying, "Oh, okay, there's some smart people here. This professor seems to know his stuff."
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're? Why are you latching onto those conversations? I guess because people talk about all sorts of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to work out what is it that's drawing you into these conversations about somebody
Mm-hmm.
starting a business and hey, what courses do they have to offer? Versus just having lunch with your wife and telling her about your life.
Great question. So these people, all of these people, I think they came from a family business, which is either back in so she had a bunch of different friends from all kinds of different cultures. Some were from Spain, some were from Ghana. Many were Europeans, some were Indians. So a very mixed bag. These are about 10 people. The guy I'm referring to is from a small town in Croatia. Now the thing is all of these people have been running, these are not first generation entrepreneurs. They have had businesses and they have seen their parents fail in businesses. So and there were different kinds of sections of the society they were from. Some were really well off, some were not. And those who were not used to be well off at a point in time, and they used to share stories such, which is, we've seen money and then we've seen no money. And we've come here on complete scholarships and things like that. But all of them were at least aware of their situations, and they were very clear on what they wanted in life moving forward, which is no job. Like, they didn't want to be under someone working 9 to 6, 9 to 7, trying to fire away with office politics. I think why I was latching to these conversations was this, because I was working and I didn't want to work like long term, which is, I think the gain which you get from working for someone is very limited. What I mean by that is like salary caps and predetermined promotion paths. I don't think that's a way in which I want to live. And there's very limited decision-making authority I have. So the amount of effort I can put in myself, the returns are always going to be capped to a salary, which I think changed my mindset when I was sitting with them. All of them were about like not being restricted by your ability to implement your own vision. I think that's where my thoughts were interesting.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So I guess you come from a family business as well, so there's some sort of common ground there.
Yeah, sure.
And it sounds like as you're talking and listening to them, are you hearing some part of your own story in this?
Not exactly yeah, you're right. Some part of my story, yes. And not from a business standpoint, but more like, yes, we have seen no money, then we have seen money, then I've seen people struggling in businesses, and then I've seen my dad's like not having any time for them. So I saw such stories being very similar, which is, yeah, people don't find time for families, they find just time for business and how business consumes you. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for that. So it sounds then like you're sat there. There's some of this is relevant to your situation. It seems like these people are smart people. You've got some respect for them, but then also it starts to waken up a thought in your head of, hey, what am I doing working for the man? Like I can make more money. I can get more value out of my effort if I go and learn how to do this myself. Is that right?
Yeah, the first thought is not, maybe the first thought is not to make more money if I'm not working for someone. The first thought is I'll not be stuck by someone else's decision-making authority. Like, no one's going to tell me what to do. And that's something which I find really hard, because let's say if I've got 6 different ideas, I fail to implement 5 of them because the one which I think is sort of right, my manager believes that's the most optimal approach. So I would never figure out how those 5 were better than this approach, just because that guy has 6 years more than experience than me.
Okay, so this is a bit more about control. I'm sat here.
Yeah,
I've got 6 great ideas. 5 of them get canned, and I've got to follow one just because
correct.
Somebody who's got
more experience that's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so this is, so then you're looking at these courses. Were there many courses that you were looking at in INSEAD at the time? Like, at what point did you sort of switch? If you sort of January 22, your wife's there, and you February 23, you're just over a year later. When do you flip from kind of passively talking to these people and listening to actively thinking, maybe this is something I want to pursue?
Yeah. This was probably like last of 2022 and like very starting of January 2023. So just like month or 2 months before, I was looking at, so I didn't want to pursue MBA or any masters. I knew that that's going to take a lot of time, and I don't have like 2 years to invest in this. And I would rather learn from something which is more open, like an open program. That's where like I was talking to this friend of hers who was also teaching. I think I was definitely influenced by him. Which is, he gave me ideas. Why don't you sign up for, or why don't you look at the open programs in executive education, which we have? So that's where I started looking at these EE courses. EE is executive education under INSEAD. And that's where I found like majority of these 2 open programs. I don't think if they've added any more, but at that time there was corporate venturing and innovation and new business values and entrepreneurship. Corporate venturing is something which my wife at that time, girlfriend, was already studying, or like she'd already had modules and notebooks on that. So, she makes great notes. I was going to study from them. That's why I took the family business venture.
Okay, cool. So you didn't need the content in the corporate venturing piece, whereas this other content was new and useful to you.
And sort of like very relevant to what I was looking for.
Can you tell me more about that?
As in, like, how was it relevant?
Yeah.
So their core proposition, I think, so when you download their brochure, right? So they'll have some sort of like, some sort of what is this course offering? So if you look at, if I had to like summarize, top 3 or 4 things which I saw from their brochure was, you can understand how do you work with family business dynamics. That was first thing which got my attention. Like, dynamics is a big challenge for us. There are people in control. And let's say my grandfather says something and that's considered, absolute stamp.
Yep.
No one can change that. How do you manage that dynamics? How do you really change your business model from scratch? If they have been working in a same situation for 30, 40 years, how do you make change their mindset about, maybe we can expand things better than what you're doing now. And the third thing which really changed my mind was the scaling strategies they had to offer, which is if your venture has been running in 4 different cities, how do you expand it to 8 different cities without flipping over or without like putting in a huge amount of costs? Maybe have one template and really like replicate that across different cities. Don't follow a different model across different cities.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, you've obviously been listening to this stuff for best part of a year. Then towards the end of 2022 and the start of 23, you start thinking about this. You said, I don't want to pursue a master's. Why not?
It's just like 2 years of effort, also a lot of exams, a lot of assignments which I have to do. I don't think I had the energy at that time to pursue masters, like at least full-time or even part-time. Part-time would have taken me over 3 years. And that's like a long-term investment and also a long-term commitment, which at that time, I don't think I was ready to.
Okay. So if that's the case, then why do anything at all? why then go and commit to 4 months worth of this effort in the evenings?
Absolutely great question. So all of that effort for just that one professor on which I wanted to take that course, so that one friend of hers, and there was no possibility I could attend his lectures without taking the whole 4 months. So I was looking for the minimal effort I can put in just so that I can attend that specific course on family business dynamics. That's what he was teaching.
Okay. And why then?
Why then, as in? Like why?
Yeah, so you've said, okay, I'm not going to take over my company, my family business, and if anything, I'd rather not do it at all. But maybe I'll do it in 5 years. But then there's this whole thing about family business dynamics, which obviously you've got first-hand experience of. I guess what I'm trying to work out is what is it about the end of 2022 and the start of 2023 that
I see.
makes you think I'll learn about this now rather than just kick it down the line and do it some future time?
Absolutely wonderful question. So this is the time of Christmas, right? Which is I would generally go back home for 20 days, 30 days. I think that's the longest in the year when I'll visit all of my family and my grandparents. Since my grandfather and my father still go to these warehouses, at every single day they would distribute their work and go out to different warehouses.
Yep.
What I noticed was that they still have a lot of issues in how they manage things. It's just that it's a dysfunctional way of managing the business. Where I saw if the grandfather said something, that was considered the final call, even though my dad had given him good suggestions on how to navigate that. Also, I saw them going to warehouses every day while they were not needed. They had good enough people already set up in places, but just that because they're not sure how things work, they're constantly overworking themselves. That's when I realized maybe I need to learn something about it, which is how do you manage someone else's interpretation? You might not be always wrong. It's just that you have more experience. So how can I navigate that? Yeah, in that 20 days, I realized I have to learn something about it.
Okay, that's cool. And what's really interesting there is that going back to the sort of thought about this is I don't want to work for the man. It's all about the control and making my if I've got these ideas,
it's still there is still some control. Yeah,
I want the ability to execute, and then at the same time you're coming back and you're seeing issues in your own family business. You're seeing your grandfather and your father being present, and they probably don't need to be putting too much work
effort.
in. But also if I go and work for this, I'm not going to have that ability to make my own decisions because my grandfather is going to be the one.
Great question. I mean, that's a very insightful idea which you got. I mean, I not think through it in that perspective, but you're right. Also, that's also a big reason why they can't scale, because they're always at those 4 warehouses all the time of the year, which is they've like consumed themselves so much, and they think that maybe micromanaging is the solution. That's how they can like be in business. They never really looked out what are the ways of actually growing out their business, or maybe they think that this is enough for them. I don't know what the thought process is behind, not like always overworking and not figuring out how to grow out of that. But yeah, I noticed this absolutely, which is being controlled by a boss at work or being controlled by a grandfather at a family business. Both have sort of like implications, but there's one person I don't know and there's another person I've known for 30 years. So maybe there's a difference in their approaches. Okay. I can navigate easily.
Got it. So is it? Are you expecting to use this to help you navigate the same challenge in your day job, or are you only is it only for your?
No, I think it's quite different from managing the day job.
Yeah, got it. So that's through Christmas time. At this time, are you aware that this course exists and the professor's teaching it? Or
yes, okay. I am aware.
And at what point do you go from saying, okay, I'm interested, to like what happens that causes you to decide, okay, I'm gonna commit to this?
This is just after coming back from India to Singapore in January, where I decided. I mean, this is not like just a one-day switch which turned on, and I said, yes, I want to do it. I had a bunch of like interactions while I was gone, like while I was back in India with this professor. So we used to chat. He generally used to send me some materials which he thought was relevant, and these were like fun memes and like some serious PDFs. So yeah, a mixed bag. I used to like read them, and that's it. It's very much like how you target customers. I mean, I know he was not trying to target me as a customer, but maybe he was. I don't know the intention.
Okay.
But it was just like, retargeting and figuring out how can I get into that course. Maybe January early on.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like you're chatting with him.
Yes.
What's this? You picking up the phone? Like, help me shoot that scene. Is it WhatsApp? Is it email? Is it?
It's actually a mix of things. This is Telegram. So mostly we're connected on Telegram. There is also Instagram. But that's not for serious business. There are papers which he shares on email, which are like some sort of research papers, which I've been reading so far.
And is he, I guess, why is he sharing this stuff with you? Why are you even connected?
Right, because we have been talking for like almost 5 days a week for a good year. So I think in that group of 10, 15 people, like the friends she have had, this guy is someone who I consider as sort of my mentor, at least in the standpoint of this family business and how do you understand that. And I think we have had pretty much similar journeys across, which is not just managing business in the family, but sort of like trying to get away from it. But I think he made peace with it that he's also like the only child of his parents. I'm the only child of my parents. I think that's where we sort of more connected, because we saw family businesses failing, starting over, doing well, sort of failing. So he has seen what I've seen. Okay. And that's why I think our thought process is quite matched.
Okay. So this is really just during those lunches, you're having these conversations, you're getting to know about him, you've learned that he's got a similar background as a only child in a family business, and probably similar perspective. And so he's sending this stuff over. Is he sending it in response to questions you've raised, or is it just, hey, I found
this is general, like no questions, just what he finds interesting, he's sending over. So like if there's a new publishing from say Gartner or McKinsey, he's sending me those material. Okay. Also, he used to be a McKinsey consultant for 4 years before he left that job because he found that too overwhelming. He moved into he didn't want to be a professor, but he had enough education, so he started that. So a mix of both. Yeah, what he finds relevant.
Is he sending this just to you, or is he sending it out to a group of people saying, hey?
Oh, that's something which I don't know. I mean, these are personal messages and these are personal emails, so.
Okay. No. So I'm sort of wondering, are you on a group and he's just chucking it in?
No, this is just like one-on-one chats.
Sending it direct to you. Okay, so you've come back in January. You've experienced this over the Christmas break. You're getting these sort of messages back and forth. When did you learn? Like when was it that you then said, okay, I've got to do something about this. I'm going to.
So I think I made the payment on. So I gave my wife this Valentine's gift, which is on 14th Feb. I think I signed up for this course.
Okay.
This was like, I think early Jan, first week of Jan, or I think second week of Jan, when I decided, yeah, I'm going to make payment for this course. And I think this is the only relevant course which I'm going to take. We had a back and forth between her and I discussing what should I take. But that's where I realized, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take the first course, which is the corporate venturing, since she already has those materials. So why not do the other one?
Okay. Are you learning something new that she can get value from, or is she going to learn this stuff in her course as well?
I don't think she's going to learn this thing which I am learning in her course, since she's very it's very microeconomics, those concepts which I don't understand. I think we can complement each other, but yeah, the corporate venturing, yes, she's obviously learning, but a family business and like entrepreneurship management, I don't think she had a course on that.
Okay, so this is new stuff. It's INSEAD, so I presume it's got a price tag. How much did you spend on it?
It was about 30,000 Singapore dollars.
Okay.
25, 30, somewhere about that.
And is that a lot of money, or is that not?
That's okay. That's I mean, the question is a bit okay. So how do we put a tag that what's expensive, what's not? That's, I think, something we.
But it's to you, because obviously some people 25,000 is an insurmountable amount of money, and others probably spend it on a handbag. So yeah, like where does it sit in your in your world? Is it?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so I think over a period of time, my thought process has changed as to not just how much I'm paying for things, but essentially what I'm getting back from it. So if you ask me now, 25,000 at the time of paying that money seemed a bit of a lot for a 3 or a 4 months course. But if you ask me to look back, what I got from it, I'd say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being very satisfied, I'd say I was, satisfied. Level would be 7. So I think it didn't really matter if I paid, 30K.
Okay. So at the time, it felt like it was a bit of a lot.
Yes. Like maybe in comparison to what my wife was paying, which was 100K or something, 80 or 100K. Okay. But she had got some scholarship. But yeah, when I was looking at that, which is a 2-year course, is costing that much. Just a 4 months course should not be that expensive. But yeah, maybe I was also trying to draw comparisons there. That's why I felt it a bit more like that, more expensive.
Okay, so a 2-year course is 180K. 4-month course shouldn't be 30K.
Yeah.
Okay, but you still decided to spend the cash?
Yes, I did.
Why?
I think just for the one business dynamics course. I mean, I'm silly enough to pay 30K on one course. I mean, I was looking forward to those network opportunities which they said. I hadn't really seen Branson talk in person. While I could ask him anything I want, I thought, this is a great opportunity. Why not? I didn't know at that time Branson would be called as a on campus. But yeah, when he came, even like Jack Dorsey came, people like such, like the Twitter CEO, people like such came, and I could see how tired yet how enthusiastic they were, and I think that really made me think, it's still okay to pay that 30K.
Okay, so that's kind of looking back and saying, well, yeah, I got some value out of it because I got this kind of FaceTime with these people. Did you know that? Obviously, you didn't know that Branson was going to be there.
No.
Did you know that somebody of that caliber was going to be there?
Yes, I knew that businesses are going to be there, like Singapore-grown businesses, be it UOB or people from Temasek were there. Okay. So yeah, I knew there are going to be people, but I didn't know there'll be flying out people from the US, or would they be in town? I even got the chance to talk to Eduardo Saverin, the ex co-founder for Facebook. Yep. Even people like Sat came. So yeah, I had no idea they would be on campus.
Okay, but when you were talking to this professor, did he tell you about prior attendees when you were making this decision?
But mostly these were Singapore-grown home businesses. None of them were people from outside.
Okay, so this isn't something you were expecting. When you made that decision, so you spent 30K for 4 months to learn this stuff. where does that budget come from? Have you just got a pot of money sat around that you spend on this stuff, or is this something you've had to sort of?
So no, we don't have that kind of money set up like separately for it. We do have emergency funds, but that's something which I had to take out from. So we already had planned for my wife's course, right? Like, let's say she's be spending, X amount of dollars. We had make sure that every month we segregate some part of our salaries for that, and we're taking an X amount of education loan for it, which we'll be paying over a period of time. So that was fine. But when it comes to such, I think such unexpected, like money, which is, about 30K, generally I would have to take it out of my emergency funds. Or let's say if my grandfather is aware, he would also transfer me some money. I don't have such interactions with my father, but yeah, my grandfather is open to sending me money.
Did you manage to get any from your grandfather? Did you ask?
Yes, absolutely. No, I did ask. I mean, he knew that I'm interested in a course, so he transferred half of it. So I didn't pay the whole 30K. I just paid 15K. Yeah, he gave me half.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. When you're signing up to this course, so you've got, it's January, you're thinking about this, getting up to Valentine's Day. When did you ask your grandfather to pay half?
Yeah, end of January. I had to make this payment by I think 10th to 14th of Feb. And I asked him, end of January, that maybe this is like a normal conversation on call. And we would generally call, have a talk every week, every 2 or 3 times a week. And that's where this thing came up, where I was saying casually that I'm enrolling in a course. And yeah, I wasn't telling him my problems. I don't think I was at that time, which is, it's quite expensive. And, they're putting a price tag, which is on learning. And I was making it a fuss all about it. And he was like, you don't have to worry. Let's do 50-50. And then casually he dropped that 50-50 bomb, and then I was okay to take the split.
Got it. But it sounds like you were going to pay this anyway. You committed, or did it tip you over the edge?
No. I was committed. I'm going to pay for it, even if I had to take another education loan.
Okay, cool. And I guess when you're making that commitment, what are you hoping for?
Making a commitment to do this 4 months course.
Well, if that's what you're spending, if it's more about committing the time versus spending the money, you're invested now. You sign on the dotted line. Yeah. What are you hoping to get?
Actually, honestly, if you ask me, I was hoping to get some sort of aspiration to create, to give me a push so that I leave my full-time job and I actually get into some sort of business of my own, or I figure out, how can I take those, I was talking about those 5 ideas, which I might find useful. How can I apply those in some sort of commercial opportunities and make business out of it? That was my idea, which is how do I not let someone else control me, my brain for 10 hours a day?
Okay. And so is this answering a question of is entrepreneurship for me? Or have you already committed that entrepreneurship is for me and now I'm just learning the skills to go and execute on one of my ideas?
Let me think. I never thought about it that way. That's a great question. I don't think it's the former. I think it's the latter. I thought entrepreneurship is for me, but I had to figure out, can I actually implement those ideas? I mean, this is just for me to figure out and test waters that if I do this, then would I really have some knowledge on what can fail or what can succeed? Because I've seen success and failure from my family, and that has not been ever consistent. I've seen them lose everything. I've seen them gain everything. So where would I stand? So yeah, it's definitely not the former, which is it for me or not?
Okay, so you're committed that you want to go down the entrepreneurship path. Right. It's more, is it more about how do I implement my ideas in a low...
How do I not fail while implementing my ideas?
Okay.
I think the idea of not failing comes up from that worry, which is in my family. I've seen people fail. So I do want to have some sort of backseat If something fails, I can just shut it off and not face losses. But I think maybe that's a part and parcel where you have to face losses before you can see gains. And I think wealth management doesn't work in that kind, which is, if you're not all in, you can't really make wealth.
Okay. So if I want to do it, I think if I want to go all in, or I've got to go all in if I want to make multi-generational wealth.
Yeah, correct. Can I actually do that? Yeah.
Oh, hang on. So it's not about can I do an entrepreneurship? It's a bigger vision of creating something. So it's answering a question of can I get to a point where I can build this kind of multi-generation family business, not just start something on my own.
More like, either can I make my own business or can I take my family's business and make it bigger?
Okay.
And that at that time, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
In either of these questions.
Cool, thanks. Okay. So back on that point in time, so Valentine's Day 2023, have you got the money from your grandfather yet? Has he transferred it to you, or?
Yeah, I mean, it just took him a day to.
Okay, so it just gets wired over. You've got that cash. You're hoping to learn all this stuff so that you can learn. Can I take my family's business and make it bigger? What are you worried about when you're signing that dotted line?
Feeling, which is like, if I can't really, what happens if I join my family business, and instead of like how they have been working on four warehouses, 4 cities at a point in time, where both of them do it, 2 cities at like concurrently. What if I can't even manage 2? What if I can't even manage 1? What if one of them shuts down? What if that's the biggest revenue making like warehouse? And how do I trust people like they have had? They have had people who are very trustworthy. How would I find such like great people? Would their families like actually join me again? Which is, let's say the father is working. Would his son be interested in my like vision? How can I find majorly trustworthy people and I don't shut their business down?
Okay. So that's more of a worry about joining the business in the future, by the sounds of things. I'm talking about the worry of the, I have $30,000 in my account. I've taken some out of my emergency fund. I've got some off my grandfather, and like, what you're making that commitment, is it really easy decision, or is it something where you've got that, what's the nagging voice in the back of your head saying?
I see. Okay, that's not really a worry. Which is, I mean, at that point in time, like last year, I think 20. Let's say him paying 15K, I paying 15K, that can be recovered in what, it's a matter of 2-3 months. It's not just that money is very transactional. I can pay him back after, I'm done with my education, or I can pay him back with something more than just money, which is, he would be very happy if I joined the business back. But such answers, which is, does that 30K mean anything to me? No, you're absolutely right. It's just an invoice, which gets catered in on that day, and then we're not thinking about it anymore.
Right. Okay. So you've made the decision. You've committed in your head. You know this person. You've thought it all through. You've got the 30K. You're not worried that this is a waste of money or something like that. You're just let's go. Easy decision.
Yeah. Now, like once I've already got the cash, and when I'm about to make the payment, now it's not a question of whether it's going to be useful or not. I mean, now it's like second nature, which is if I've paid for something, it's just like buying. It's just like buying a new shirt. If I, the shirt can be a $20 or $30 Uniqlo shirt, or it can be an Hermes shirt. Both of them essentially, once bought, they hold sort of like little to no value.
Okay, that's cool. Thanks. When you were looking at this, obviously you had this connection to INSEAD through your wife. You had the connection to the family business course through your kind of background. Did you ever go looking at alternatives? Did you Google around and say, hey, are there things other than INSEAD? Or was it always?
Yeah, I mean, I was simultaneously looking for, I did my education in bachelor's and master's, both at NUS, right? So I was also looking at NUS, NTU, SMU, all of these courses of all the Singapore-based colleges. I was not looking out anywhere else because my wife's going to be here, so I don't want to do a 4 months course somewhere else around the globe. All the courses here, and I was also looking at ESSEC. I don't know if you know ESSEC is.
Is that
ESSEC is also yeah, I'll probably write that down for you in chat.
cool? Thanks.
So ESSEC has its own business school. It's also, I think it's a French school or a French or a German school. I don't know. But yeah, they have this campus also in Bono Vista. They also like serve to business, students and people who want to do masters in like finance or education, things like that. So they also had a corporate.
So when were you busy sort of researching these
Back
things?
in December. So this is December, early Jan, when I had to, this is when that professor friend of hers was sending me material while I was looking through. And these are like casual Google searches across different courses, like on different days. So it's not like consecutively I'm searching on a daily basis. So, a casual scroll across my phone while we are sitting on a dining table. I would look through, like an idea would pop up in my head. Let's also look at what ESSEC or NUS have to offer. And then I would compare what materials do they have, any benefits I can get from them, things like that.
Okay. And obviously you're kind of looking at this. So it's kind of you're phone at the dining table. So you're just sort of chatting about this with your wife, and then suddenly you think, oh, hey, maybe I should.
Yeah, with the whole family, with my grandfather, father, wife,
Okay.
Everyone has inputs.
Okay, so you're actively discussing the idea of you going to get the courses with them.
Yeah, correct.
Can I shoot that scene, like when you first introduced this idea?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's going on? Where are you, and what was it how did you introduce it?
Mostly happens like all of these conversations. Okay, they would happen somewhere around like 8 or 9 p.m. when both my father and grandfather comes back. And yeah, it's hard to find both of them at the same time in the house. But when they do, because generally the Christmas time is very busy for us, all the warehouses are extremely like occupied. But I think whenever they found time, and let's say all of us were at home, generally would be at a dining table or our couch when we are, watching some sort of sitcom. When all of us are just sitting down, obviously my wife's course has been going on so far, and I would see a material from the professor friend, and I would generally like discuss this with my wife. She talks a bit loud, so she ended up like talking, like saying the words, taking a course in front of everyone in my family. And that's where things pick up, which is they'll be interested to know what that course is and why am I even trying to get into a course. Like I've done my master's 6 years ago, why now? So yeah, such questions pop up, and this is like a healthy discussion which goes on for about 5-6 days. Everyone asks, everyone gives inputs. Why this? Why not that? And even my father studied at NTU in his bachelor's, so he has an idea of either he would know people or he would have some network in which he can guide me. Why should you take this or why should you take that? Okay. Yeah, I'd listen to every one of them, but I still chose INSEAD because of two major reasons: that dynamics course, and also because I had known every single one of the professors who are going to be there. So yeah, it was much more familiar environment for me. I didn't want to go ahead and join NUS or NTU. NTU is, I think, very research focused for technical courses. NUS could have given me a good environment for business, but I think INSEAD had that upper hand of all those like network related events. I think they were going to be pretty helpful or handy to me too.
Okay, cool. That's really useful. Thanks. Did anybody disagree with your choice of INSEAD?
No, no one disagreed, but yeah, they had their set of inputs as to which course should I take for. Someone was saying, you take corporate ventures. I think that will be more handy. But I had a preference towards the family business one. They said that, we can teach you these things. You don't have to learn it through a course. Yep. You join us, we'll teach you what's required for scaling. But on the back of my mind, I was thinking, you haven't scaled your 4 warehouses. How will you teach me scaling? But yeah, I mean, I told them that most of the other courses I can find in my wife's material, or if I had to really learn, then I would ask her to explain me things. But this is something which we both don't have in common. This would be more helpful. So yeah, no disagreements, mostly suggestions.
Cool. That's great. Just look at, we're coming up on the time here, so you've been really, really great. I've asked some extremely dumb questions. What would a smart person like yourself ask that would be important to know about this story and your choice of INSEAD?
I don't think any questions are dumb. It's just like the curiosity levels can be different. What about my choice of INSEAD, is it?
Yeah, or just generally of you deciding to take this up and take it up at that time. What have I missed?
What have you missed? Let me think. Give me like 5-10 seconds to think.
Yeah, no worry.
I think you don't have, like, you've not missed it, but I think what tipped me to the edge, which I probably didn't discuss, is to actually take the course, is that my wife was very supportive of me doing this course and letting both of us burn 30K for 4 months, which I think she would have said no to things, because we at that time were planning to start a family, or like we wanted to do more out in our lives, which is just figure out how can we both grow together. And in the middle of everything, I'm just like, I'm going to spend 30K because I find one of your friends' education courses really great, and I think that'd be a great stepping stone for me. And even though she knows clearly the situation, which I don't want to pursue my family's business, but still I'm doing something which is completely opposite to that. She was a bit conflicted, sure. But yeah, there was not a single point in time where she was like, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't, waste money on this. She was like, it's your call to take, but yeah, just think thrice, 4 times before, making that payment. So yeah, I think that was a big factor.
Awesome. Cool. Look, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you sharing your story, and I wish you all the best. Hopefully this has a happy ending and you get to use what you've learned and grow that family business. And
we will keep in touch. So if you need a warehouse solution, I'll be the one available for you.
Fair enough. And I'll be looking out, see your picture on whatever it is, Time Magazine. It's the Entrepreneur of the Year or whatever. So
sounds good. I hope I was articulate in my opinions, Neil.
Very, very much so. Really, really great. Thank you so much for your story.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Take care.
So hopefully you enjoyed that interview, and here is how I decode it. So I look at what's he switching from. In this case, it was the material his wife had from her own courses. What's he switching to here? The various different family business program here, and then I've got the links to the video and transcript. So I'll always capture a setup for any of these things, and really this is to jog my memory, but also for somebody else who's going to look at these notes in the future. Who's this person? What's their background? How can you remember this person quite easily? So, it's talking about where he is, who he is, what's the sort of backstory here. And then if we look at the pushes, I've captured here. So when I'm frustrated in my own job and I want to own my decisions in future by running my own business. So this is entrepreneurship. I'm driven by the feeling that I'd like to do this in the future, but I'm seeing the challenges in my own family business. I think there's some here. I've got aspirations. I want to create multi-generational wealth. So, there's these sort of pushes. It's this feeling that I could and should do more. But also, he's talking to people here, and some of these pieces propelling him forward are businesses has ups and downs. I need some skills to do this. I don't have these skills. I'm seeing others fail at it. So that's propelling him to think he might need to get more pieces. There's an opportunity to learn. So sometimes a push can be a positive thing. You bump into somebody and you learn that there is an opportunity to learn these things. And then, I've got my own ideas. I don't have this, and I've got time available. So a lot of training, a lot of individuals going on training courses, it relates to when they have the time to do it or when they can make the time to do it. On the other side here, we've got this. So, what's he want to do? Well, he knows that there's risks. So I want to know how to navigate those risks. I want to make my own decisions. I want to take more of the upside. So, I'd like the entrepreneurship path. I need to learn how to navigate these things and scale the business, especially if he's taking over his family business. But also some pulls are to do with the person. So that professor is giving him the confidence that he's got this experience in the insights that I need. So that's pulling me in, and that's making me want to go and learn from this particular person. Big thing here is the risks. I'm worried about risks. I need to know, get ahead of the curve. What have other people failed on, and how can I avoid it? Obviously, it's got to fit around work. I'm in a job, so I need to make sure it fits, and I need to see a combination of theory and real-world use cases. Finally, what else have we got? Well, I could keep just reading my wife's materials. I could keep learning from the professor's shared material. I don't necessarily need to do this. There was an anxiety. Whilst $30,000 he compares to the price of a shirt, but he also looks and says, hang on, 2-year course is only 180. I'm paying 30,000 for, I think it was 4-month course. So there is a little bit of a nagging doubt, but he overcomes that quite easily. And then, of course, here, my wife's already learning this. I could learn it from her. And why am I doing it right now? Why can't I wait? And then there's just some observations here that we can go through. And these are just, again, things that I felt were interesting and useful as we went through this. So there you go. That's a whole interview run end to end. And here's the debrief I've got. How did that compare to the notes that you took? Let me know.